friends. Can you believe it's Friday again? It was literally yesterday that we did this, and here we are meeting up again. We're going to build some wins again today with an incredibly great guest. You're going to love Dan. Dan and I have known each other now virtually, which is really applicable based on what we're going to chat about today, for probably close to a year. And he's a great guy, and he's known as the new normal guru. That's easy for me to say. And he also does a lot of walking with the guru, and he's got some great points, some great ideas, some great vision on where we've been, how we got here, where we're going. And he and I share a lot of the same thoughts and interests along that way. And so we're going to have a good 30, 40 minutes of just some good old boy chatting about that. So don't go away. We're going to be back in about 15 seconds. That's 3 times these. Be right back. There he is.
Here I am.
The guru himself.
Building Wins Live.
That's it. You never would have believed it until today, would you?
The culmination of my years on this earth.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're starting out with the BS right out of the get-go. We've been live for about 32 seconds.
I brought a shovel with me.
I'm sorry?
I brought a shovel with me.
No, that's okay. We may need it when we get done with this. But two old sales jockeys and whatever that we've done all our lives, and yeah, it may get deep. But Dan, seriously, thank you for being on. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while, and love what you do. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, is because as much as I love what you do, your message, I think that I have a lot of folks that I deal with that would love to hear your message also. So, thank you first and foremost for taking some time today.
It's my pleasure. Again, you have been a real leader in being out there and really keeping a lot of people active and aware during this pandemic and whatever we're in now. Yeah. I certainly do appreciate you, and I certainly follow you on social media.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Kind words. And it's you gotta stay active. And that's one of the things we'll chat about in a couple minutes. But we've learned a lot, right? And it's time to use what we learned and not forget about it just because we maybe start going back to quote normal a little bit, whatever that means. But before we get into that, I'd like everybody to know who is Dan Altmire. Give us a little where you're from, what you do, how come, why, who, what, why, where, when, whatever.
Okay, so I was on a call last night, and they said, "What's your origin story?" And I started feeling like Superman or something. I was born on the planet Krypton.
Well, he was a great superhero. I was a Batman fan myself, but I'd have put my money on Superman.
I grew up a DC Comics guy.
Okay.
But I got to say the Marvel movies are better.
Yeah, I think our mutual friend and my producer director Wes. I think he's a Marvel guy, or I can't remember. I'll see him nodding in the background in a minute. But yeah, he's a Marvel fan too. I liked them all. I liked anything that I could watch at 4:00 when I got home on a school bus every day. So but
exactly.
Then again, I was
that was the reward of making it through another day of school.
It was that and Quick's Draw McGraw, and some of those guys were still great ones too. And that's obviously not Marvel, but those guys, Popeye and Quick Draw McGraw, and some of those. But anyways, I digress. But now I want to get on the cartoon channel. So
yeah, there you go. I can go for about 2 hours on cartoons.
It's some good stuff. Good stuff. So who's Dan?
Exit stage left. I'm going to go back to your question.
Okay.
I was born in Washington, D.C., and kind of lived in the Washington, D.C. area all my life. went away for school for a little bit, but pretty much been in this general vicinity all my life. In my 20s and 30s, I drove a cab to work my way through college, and that landed me a job as a bus driver.
Really? In the city of D.C.?
In my local county, Montgomery County.
Okay.
In our bus system, and it was a brand new bus system. And within a year and a half, I was the operations manager of half of the bus system. So that was being in the right place at the right time, I guess. And then I ended up going into doing real estate part-time while I was still in the bus business. And that led me to become a certified financial planner because people were asking me investment advice all the time. And then that led me into the insurance business, where I spent the last 35 years working in primarily employee benefits and working with small businesses to help them better position themselves to deal with the wherewithal and the risks they may have to face so that they can stay in business, attract and retain quality employees. It's been a fun opportunity because that is always changing. And so you can't sit back and get bored with it.
Right.
So that's what I've been doing. But during that time, I also have led sales teams and trained a lot of salespeople. Prior to that, I trained a lot of bus drivers on how to drive a big bus.
Yep.
It's been a wonderful life, and it's kind of brought me to where we are today, and an opportunity for me to take a look at what I've seen in the past and apply it to the future and the changes that have happened. And so that's me in a nutshell, except for the fact that, and probably most important in my life, is my wife Karen, who we've been married. In November of this year, we will have been married 41 years.
Nice, congrats.
And my 3 kids, Brian, Lindsay, and Katie, and our 5 grandchildren. So
okay. So a family man, a financial expert, a bus driver, and a cabbie, and now a guru.
And a guru, and a grandpa.
And a grandpa. Forgot that part.
Yeah.
Probably almost one of the most important parts. Being a grandpa is good stuff, isn't it?
It's the greatest. I go by Poppy.
Poppy. Okay.
Poppy.
I go by Papa. Even with I actually have a great grandson now, and
wow.
But he's not old enough to call me anything yet. He's 10 months, a little over 10 months. But I told my granddaughter, his mom, that we're going to do Papa. I'm Papa to everybody, and I'm going to do Papa with the little guy too, because any kind of G-pop or whatever just makes me sound way older than I want to sound. So, we'll just do Papa for everything. But I'll tell you, the funny thing with that, Dan, I'm getting way off subject, but the funny thing with that is we've got 8, between Dixie and I, we have 8 grandkids, and then the great-grandson, so 9, I guess, total. But the funniest thing, I'm used to being a grandpa, because my granddaughter that has the baby is 23. So I've been used to being a papa for a long time. But the first time I was with everybody and people were referring to my son as grandpa is like probably the oddest moment in my life to me. Because it's like all of a sudden, I don't care how old they are, he's 42. There's still that little guy, right, that you carried around back in the day in your head somewhere that's still there. It's like, oh my, that's just really odd, right? But good stuff. That's good stuff, Dan. So let's get into the guts of this thing. So you're the new normal guru. How in the world did we get to that? Where did that come from? I mean, I know the story, but let's talk about it. How did you become? What's that mean? What's it stand for? What's the whole thing behind that?
Well, I don't know what it stands for. Most gurus sit down, um, but what I realized was, first of all, there is no such thing as the new normal, but there's always a new normal. My ancestors. By the way, I did the DNA test, and I have Neanderthal blood in me. Okay,
really? You know what that means? Because I'm smart enough to know that means you're very smart.
And you can tell that when you see me eat. But my ancestors, the Neanderthals, had a new normal when they discovered fire.
Right.
Okay, and it's gone all through history. Every time there's a change, every time there's a crisis, there's also an opportunity. And so the new normal was kind of a buzzword back a year and a half ago.
Yep.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great to be able to showcase ideas and people who are taking what's going on right now and thriving in it instead of moping in it, instead of falling backwards in it. There was a book maybe in the 1980s called Failing Forward by John Maxwell. And it outlined a whole bunch of people who had a whole lot of failures, but they found a way to move forward in it. And that's our opportunity right now. Mm-hmm. Our opportunity is, you don't get another chance. You can't go backwards.
Right.
And so you can say, oh, the good old days, or this was that. I loved it when this was that, but it's not there now. And so you have to work with the realities that are there, and you have to look at what are the new trends, what are the new opportunities, and how do I need to adjust what I do, what as an organization, what do we have to do to adjust the marketplace? Like I was just on a call last night talking about the fact that we have the Great Resignation that happened in August, and I think it probably started a little before that and will probably continue. But there were over 4.5 million people that quit their jobs in August. Mm. And the question is, if you're hiring, because there's over 12 million jobs being advertised right now that these people aren't looking for, most of them. Yep. How do you find people? How do you reach out to people who are not necessarily just seeking a job? They're seeking maybe an opportunity, maybe a future, maybe a life-changing experience. I don't know what they're seeking, but it's not just about posting a job on Indeed or something like that. It's actually about engaging with people and saying, this is where you want to work. And how do you as a business owner attract those people, and how does that change your recruiting process, your recruiting timeline, and your onboarding timeline and things like that? If you adjust and make those changes, you're going to succeed. If you wait and sit around and say, these people just aren't like they used to be, you might not fail, but you might not succeed as much as you could have.
So it's interesting because and so timely, because you're right. In my little area where I live here, there's not you can't go by a window that's not hiring. Every manufacturer that I'm blessed to represent and work with are always trying to find people. I mean, even with the supply chain issues that we have, you can't get product offloaded. You can't get product delivered. There's not enough truck drivers. I mean, you go all the way down, and it doesn't matter if it's a line cook at a local restaurant or at a major manufacturer. That's a big issue, right? And I think you hit on it, and I love that theory that some things are what they are, and when they change, you better change with them. And as employers, it's easy to sit there. I think what you just said is and complain and belittle, and nobody wants to work, and all those that might or might not be accurate depending on the individual and the location. But if you need to fill your staff, you better figure out what it's going to take to get people to come to work for you, right? I think that's what you're saying.
You know, I'm in the insurance business, and with many of the carriers out there, we've been asking them for years, hey, how about an e-application? How about a DocuSign? And it was like, oh, well, we're going to get around to it. You know, we're looking at that maybe 2022, 2025. As soon as the pandemic hit, 2 to 3 months, most of them had e-apps.
Sure.
Because they realized that without them, they weren't going to have any business because nobody could sit face to face.
Right.
Everybody was stuck in their house. But thank goodness to Zoom and other platforms like that, we were able to still connect with people, and because of technology, we were able to verify that they were real people and that there was not a fake application going in and everything, and to verify through an electronic process their authorization to move forward with the process, and so you know, you have the more time goes by, the more technology we get, the more things change, the faster they change. And so you have to be nimble. And, you know, I'm 70 years old. And a lot of 70-year-olds are not very nimble.
Right.
And
a lot of 40-year-olds aren't real nimble.
Exactly. But you know what? You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can make things happen. So, you know, there's two ways to do it. And yeah, you know, the nimble are the ones that move forward.
That's a great point, because I made a notation to myself here as you were talking, and you know, crisis equals opportunity. I thought that's a great. I love that quote, because it's all most things come out of some type of crisis, some type of something happened, something changed. We've got to react to it. And did we want COVID to happen? Of course not. That'd be a dumb statement. But it happened, and we couldn't control that it happened. But like with most things, right, we can control how we dealt with it and how we adapted to it. And you know, a word I use quite a bit, Dan, is adapting, and that's the biggest thing I came out of this couple of years of craziness. Is I'm more of an adapter than I ever was. And the most important thing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is there's a lot of things that I adapted that I do now. This kind of show, being on people's shows, 10 videos a day, and on social media, all those things in between customer calls and going out and seeing people personally, which I do quite a bit again, because I am a road warrior. But more important than the things that I learned to do is I learned that I am an adapter and can be an adapter. Does that make sense? Am I?
Oh yeah.
Because I can do anything now. I feel much more empowered than ever. That I don't want any next thing, whatever it is, but there's always the next thing. Whether it's as big a deal as this or small little things here and there, there's always the next thing, right? Like you said, everything's a new normal. It's always a new normal, right? So what do you think about the whole idea of adapting? Obviously, we've all adapted, especially guys like yourself and I that have known each other virtually and never met. I mean, it's a major adaptation, right?
Well, two things. One, just about people who adapted. I watched you. You were a guy who did big shows and big events, and went out and saw people all over. You were a road warrior going to see clients, but you also did these big shows. But you didn't lament the fact that you couldn't do those anymore. You went out and found another way to connect with people. And as we were talking about right before this interview, you actually have people now you've connected to outside of your industry because of social media.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this. I would not know you if it was not for COVID.
Exactly.
I would not know you if it was not for social media. I would not know you if it was not for different groups that of like-minded people that have formed on the internet to help each other, to assist each other, to grow, to listen. On Sunday, I'm flying out to spend 4 days with Jeffrey Gitomer.
Okay.
And his mastermind group, and that's one of 5 different masterminds that I've been involved in over the last year and a half. And I have people that I'm connected to all over Great Britain now, from one group, and friends in Norway and Sweden and France and Thailand, and it's all over the globe that I've never met face to face, but we've had an impact on each other over this 18 months, and some of them we've become close during that time, and it's an amazing thing. I would have never known. I would have never grown as much as I had in the last 18 months if it hadn't been for the pandemic. So I'm very excited that it's driven me towards this. I'm not excited about the people who went through the COVID. I'm certainly not the people that we lost. But the crisis created a whole new opportunity, and some of us have gone through that portal into the next opportunity, next world, and some need a guide to do that. And so the New Normal Guru is meant to be a guide in the process, to give people ideas, to show people other people who have gone through the process and succeeded, so they don't feel like they're alone, so they don't feel like it's great to sit down and wallow in my misery.
Right.
Oh, woe is me. And I get that. I've been there in my life before also, but that's not a place to be.
Right.
That's not going to get you what your destiny is. I always end my Walking with the Guru videos, which, by the way, you can see on Facebook at the New Normal Guru page. But anyway, I always end that with one simple line, and that is: embrace your destiny. Everybody has a destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has opportunity. It's just recognizing it and then having the persistence to follow it.
Exactly. Back to what you said, it's interesting how my world, for example, is so much broader than it was 2 years ago, because of this, what you said. For an example, and I can't remember if you knew Wes, my director producer, prior to meeting him today, pre-show or
Yeah,
not.
we've been around on some of these groups together.
That's what I thought. But you know, I was funny is Russ and I was involved with the Megamind, which is a mastermind group that we all got involved with early on after the lockdown started happening.
Right.
And we all needed we all knew we needed somebody to talk to, like-minded, right? And it's funny is people that don't believe that virtual can be a winner. Is it as good as meeting up, shaking hands, and bro hugging and slopping down a glass of Cabernet together? Of course not, right? But it's still better than doing nothing, or it's better than sitting at home wallowing and wishing you could be out. But when Wes and I first met, there was 5 of us met up in Cincinnati at a trade show that I was at. First trade show I'd been at in a year and a half. There we are. Which one's Wes? Can you decide? He might be the biggest guy on the screen. Anyway, but when we met up that day, that late afternoon for some drinks and some dinner, these are 5 of the 20-some people in this group. None of us, I think 1 or 2 had met each other one other time, but basically we had never met before. But it was like we'd known each other for 20 years because we probably talked more and communicated more in that 2-year period than a lot of people do in a 20-year period. I mean, we were literally chatting every day, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, shooting each other videos, shooting each other little smart butt stuff, whatever it was. And we just become great friends. And that's one of those beautiful things about this, we've already established it wasn't good, but we made good out of what was a bad apple, I guess, if you will, right?
No, I agree 100%. That's the other important thing I think that has evolved during this period is the fact that a lot of people have realized that they have resources outside of their work.
Mm-hmm.
That they have support systems outside of their work. And I think that even when we're all back to going back to the office, if that ever happens, that's debatable in some businesses.
Right.
But when we do, I think the relationships that were built and the success that was built around those relationships will endure beyond any new change and will shape the way that people do business in the future and the way people grow. Because that group of 5 people that you had there, none of them were really in the same business, right?
Correct. We were all very diverse businesses.
Yeah, and yet each of you banded together to make each other better.
Right. And I can tell you, Dan, I learned something from every single person in that 23, 25, whatever it is, I forget. Because it's so diverse, there's not a single person there that I didn't learn a lot from. And for example, these shows that I've been doing, this show we're on right now, Wes is a member of the group, and the first time we met was in that picture he popped up. He directs and produces this, does a lot of my other social media work, and I would have never found Wes without that group, right? And I wouldn't have found a lot of the other people that I talk to on a daily basis that are truly, we refer each other many times as brother, for example, and that's what it feels like. It's guys that, and girls too, that we've become pals, like Kellen Ann that popped up quite a while ago and said, "Hi guys." I didn't get a chance to mention.
Still out there. There it is. Hi, Kellen Ann.
Yep. The Cards That Wow girl. She agrees she's gonna be on sometime here in I think January, and we're gonna chat about her incredible transformation. There it is, right there. That's the stuff that Kellen Ann can do. So we're gonna chat about that. But watching her story and develop, and there's so many people that we watch them get better, and some changed jobs, some changed careers, but the bottom line was we was always there with each other, and that was a great thing. And like you said, that'll never change and never go away. But and I use, as you see in my moniker, I guess if that's the word I want to use, 2.5 hybrid amazing. That's a thing that I coined back at the start of this thing because, and I wanted to run into this for a second because you had mentioned earlier, there's always, what do they say? Always a new normal. And I remember when we got a ways into this thing, this pandemic, this whatever, that there was two camps that became very divided, not in a bad way, but there was the old normal camp and the we're going to go back exactly the way we were, and I'm just going to sit here and wait till that happens. And then there was the other camp, which is we're never going to go back ever. We'll never travel. We'll never leave home again. We'll never, we're going to seal the door shut and never leave. Right? Some people almost that bad. And I became a big believer in hybriding over this period of time, more than I probably ever was. I realized neither one's accurate, right? There's a hybrid or a gray area in there someplace, right, where we're going to take all the new stuff we learned. And I think the biggest challenge that people that have done, and I'd like to, if you could talk on this, the concern, I guess, would that be for a lot of people is they learn some of this, but then as soon as I don't need it, so to speak, as soon as I can just get in my car every day or go to the airport every week, I'm going to forget all of the new stuff that I learned. And I think that's a big mistake, right? And what do you think of that?
Well, I think that as you learn things, that they don't go away. Mm-hmm. And so even if you go back to your old time, you're going to start seeing it with a new set of eyes.
There you go.
And so I wouldn't worry about whether you're going to fall back into the old ways or not fall back in the old ways. I think the fact is that while you're in this situation, you need to learn the new ways. Yep. And then adapt again, because there'll be another new normal. Yeah. And so humans are the most adaptable species, and so there's a reason that we were built that way, so that we can adapt. We maybe never have had to adapt as many times over because of the speed of technology and different things that are going on. But my advice on that is keep learning. Keep going, but apply it. The way you learn things and internalize them is by doing them, not by just studying them. One of the things that I've been struggling with during this period of time, but I'm excited about, is I was encouraged by some of my mentors to write a book. And so I am in the process of writing my first book, and therefore at that point it will be my best book, because it'll be my only book at that point. Hopefully more to follow. But the working title is Mediocre Sucks.
Like it.
Okay, and what I mean by that is there's so many times, and a lot of people can. I hope identify with this, where people reach a pinnacle of success, but then they lose it. They start to atrophy. They start to take their eye off of the prize, take their eye off of the ball. And, how do you get that back? And how do you get, once you've been to a success point and then you slip into mediocrity, how do you get it back? And should you get it back in the same area? Maybe that's why 4.6 million people quit their jobs in August. I don't know. But and I hope they all buy my book. I just for fun and in the process of writing the book, I put together a survey on how mediocre are you, and I'm offering that. There's me, the new normal guru, and mediocre sucks, and you can go online and we'll email you that survey. It does not, we do not track it. We don't know how mediocre you are when you take that. It is something where it totals your number at the end and everything, but that's all yours. It's just a PDF, but it's just for fun. And you know, if you want to do that, anybody out there, please feel free. It's free. It wasn't free for me. It cost me money to make, but it's free for you. Yeah. You know, I think that is a new frontier for people also, is recognizing that you were great at something once before, but that doesn't mean that that was your only pinnacle. Mm-hmm. There's a long history of people who have been very, very successful in multiple things in their lives, or multiple times in their lives, and it maybe gone through some downturns. Maybe they haven't, but the key thing is having that drive to have something in your life that's amazing. I was just reading in some research for the book about Thomas Edison. You know Thomas Edison. Everybody knows all of him, the stories about him, and the 5,000 ways that it doesn't work, and before creating the light bulb. But what about the person that created Thomas Edison? His mom. She didn't accept mediocre. She could have been a mediocre mom when the school told her, your son is addled, which basically meant not functioning well in the societal norms, and he'll never amount to anything. And she took him out of school and homeschooled him. That is not a mediocre mom.
Right.
Okay. So it's not about just being a corporate success, or being somebody who makes a lot of money, or whatever. It's somebody who has a calling, a destiny, if you will, and they embrace that destiny. And there can be stops along the way that where you don't recognize where the next step is until you get to the. Anybody here online that's ever played one of those video games knows that, you think you've just gotten to the end of this one section of it, and you're like, oh, I really had an accomplishment. Then you get to the next one and you go, oh my gosh, now I got to learn all this new stuff.
Right.
But you keep going. Okay, and that's the key. And so when the book comes out, I'll be back on here if you invite me to promote that and talk about it.
Oh, I'd love to. Mediocre sucks. Dan Altmire. We will. You can count on it. You let me know when you're ready. But that's assuming that Wes and I both get an autographed copy.
Hey, I think we can work that out. I know the guy that wrote it.
Good. Is he a good guy? Is he okay?
There are times that I have some difficulties with him, but most of the time he's a pretty good guy.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, there's our friend Tim Lord. Look at him. Walking. Good day, Sharks. There we go. Yeah, Tim's a good guy. He's another one of our Megamind group buddies.
Tim is a sharp dude.
He's a sharp dude, man. He runs a great business up there, Boston Impressions, up in Nashua, New Hampshire.
Nashua.
I'm going to go to New Hampshire one of these days because I want to go to New Hampshire. I travel a little bit, but since the last couple of years I haven't been there. It is part of my sales world. So, but now I got even a better reason to go see my buddy Tim. So
exactly.
Yeah, and well, awesome. So Yeah, when you're ready, when you're ready with your book, you let me know ahead of time, and we'll get you on because I'd love to talk more about the book because I'm a big I love the title, Dan, because I've often, not often, but occasionally said, who gets up in the morning and looks in the mirror and goes, you know what? I think I'll be mediocre today. You know, I mean, who does that, or why would you do that? Why wouldn't you say I'm going to be amazing today? I'm going to be extraordinary today. You know, and or something I like to say sometimes, I'm going to have the best day ever until tomorrow, right? Because why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, but it's what happens after you leave the mirror that's the most important part. You can say whatever you want at the mirror, but
you just got to keep doing it. You got to live the talk.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. So you can be fooling yourself, and so we'll be delving into that in the book, and hopefully.
I'm gonna say so that's what you're going to teach us. You're going to teach us how to say to myself, I'm not going to be mediocre, but then how do I go not be mediocre?
That's the goal. Yeah.
Good. I'll bet you would do it. I've listened to a number of your things, Dan. You'll this is good. I don't have to be the very first one because that might be your wife, but all I'm going to tell you is if I don't get a book before Wes Wyatt gets a book, I am not going to be happy. That's all I'm going to tell you. Because we got a book from a few weeks ago. We had a guy Ben Gay the third on who's become a friend and a great guy. We had some back and forth earlier today, and he sent both Wes and I a book, and I'm still a little irritated that Wes got his before me, which I just don't know how that happened. I think Wes was calling Ben on the side. That's what I think happened. But anyway, so I want mine first. That's all I'm saying.
I'll see if I can work that out with the post office.
Yeah, I'll pay for expedited or expedited. Okay, you send
that means it'll get there 3 weeks later instead of 4 weeks later.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Dan, it's been a pleasure. We're bumping up a little over 40 minutes. I know you've got stuff to do, and I'm going to get on the road today to go get ready to see some family this weekend.
That's fantastic.
I know that our pal Wes always likes to pop up something to remind. There he is. Should ask questions. Last maybe thing, and if you got something else, that's fine too. But what haven't we talked about today, Dan? That you going? Come on, Randy, ask me this question.
Well, I wanted to. There's two things. One is a question, and the other is just a shout out. And there are thought leaders, and then there are thought leaders, and you, my friend, are a thought leader because you taught me about this fan. And so I bought one.
There it is. Look at that. The new normal guru. Is that cool or what?
And it says embrace.
Okay.
I
know the next part. I listened.
Destiny.
Love it.
So
I remember when we chatted about that.
Those fans, if it wasn't for you showing it off online, I had to call my good friend Ron Goodwin.
Yep, fellow guy we know.
Who I met online through all this stuff, and said, "You got to find where I can get one of these. I got to get these. And so
I still probably have 20, 30 of those in my basement. I should probably dig those out someday and make sure the batteries are still good and maybe haul those around and give them away again.
Yeah, well, I don't know anybody that's gotten one that hasn't loved them. So
yeah, they're very cool.
Thank you for the great idea.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I remember when you called or text or messaged or something and asked me where I got that. I remember when we talked about that.
Yeah. And then I got Ron to help me out with that. So, but the other question, I think some of the people that are out there, this may be important for, and I'll follow it up with the second question that probably everybody has. But I'm basically, besides being a new normal guru, when I come out of the phone booth, with my cape on. But I'm also an insurance and risk management guy. And so if you have a business, I just have one question for you. Have you updated your buy-sell agreement insurance plans for the 2020s? Make sure you do that, because you're set up for the old normal, and the new normal may end up wrecking your business if you're not ready. I can help you, but I know there are thousands of insurance agents out there that may be able to do the same thing for you. But anyway, that, and then just for everybody else, if you have insurance, have you updated your insurance? If you have employee benefits, do you know what your employee benefits are? Go to a professional and find out where your liability is, and figure out whether you have the money stashed aside to take care of that, or if you need somebody with billions and billions of dollars to pick that up for you.
Which will be the author of Mediocre Sucks once you get that thing at the bestseller list.
That's true.
Awesome. Well, that's good advice, and and that's something that like with a lot of things. I'm sure with insurance, we all buy it and forget it, right? And well, I've got insurance, but is it up to date? Is it covering? Because things have changed, right? And that's good advice, and you just made me decide I'm going to call my insurance agent on Monday. So thank you, because I probably haven't looked at that like I should either. So
that's true, and ask him if he has insurance that you don't have to die to use.
Yeah, that's always a plus. That's always a plus.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, Dan, as it's been a true pleasure. I appreciate your thoughts, your leadership, and just everything you bring to the table. I enjoy everything you do, and keep doing it. And let me know when we're gonna do the book launch. In fact, we can launch it here if you want.
Thank you so much for the offer.
Love it. Dan, thank you, my friend. It's been real.
And thanks again for inviting me today.
Oh, of course. Anytime, my friend. You're always welcome at Building Wins Live. All right, buddy. There you go. 45 minutes of greatness from the new normal guru, the Walk with the Guru, and soon to be author of Mediocre Sucks. And I love that title. I can't wait to get it. And more than that, I can't wait to get it before Wes. But anyways, that's just a personal thing. That I'm going to be very upset, Dan. I know you're watching still. Anyway, but that was awesome. Great stuff. I knew it would be. I love this guy, and if you don't follow him, you need to. You're going to love his inspiration. You're going to love his take on life and take on where we are, where we've been, where we're going. So check it out. So that is it for today. I'm going to go do some family stuff this weekend and can't wait. Might be a post or two about that, but anyways, next week, we're going to go back to the industry, if you will, with a friend of mine we go back quite a few years now. We'll talk about that next week when he's on, even though he's a lot younger than me, but then again, that's almost everybody. But Laverne Zook is going to be on next week with me. Look at that handsome dude. Anyway, I think I told Wes we weren't going to have anybody on more handsome than me, but that means I would have no show because there'd be nobody. So anyway, Laverne's going to be on next week. He's a commercial roofer in the Ohio market, Southern Ohio, kind of outside of Cincinnati, Dayton-ish area, if you will. And we're going to talk about everything from the commercial roofing market, what's going on. Again, sort of the same theory that I've been talking about quite a bit, which is where we've been, where we are, where we're going, what he's seen. And you're going to love Laverne's take on life, take on business. And so it's a good time. So 3 p.m. next Friday here on Building Wins Live. Don't miss it. But until then, remember, you get to go around once. So live it, love it, own it, and make today. You know what I'm going to say? Say it with me. Right there it is. Make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Love it. Cheers, my friends.